Hello, we're underway. How is everyone today? I like this Feeding the Duck music. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Let me shut this down right here. Bring up the chat. Josephine Francisco stopped by to say, hey, Simply Mamita's here. Welcome to the Crapper with Dan. Welcome to the CR Talk. Crap Talk. Why is this called Crap Talk? Because we're going to flush it once we're all done. Hello, good evening. It's 9 p.m. on a Sunday here in the Philippines. Bye-bye, City Leyte, to be specific. We're in the basement. It's hot down here. I'm trying to pipe in some air conditioning, Kim. There's no direct air conditioning in this room, but there is in the room that's next door. And so I have a fan going. I got the split air conditioner going, and I got it blowing air this way. And it is starting to cool down, but I got kind of late setting up. I was trying to get this camera angle right, so it looks like I'm looking at you and talking at you, but it's not going to work because I'm always looking down on my phone to see what's going on. That's why it's not going to work. Anyway, I'm looking at ads right now. But Kim, welcome in. Welcome in. I appreciate you guys stopping by. This isn't the greatest time slot to be doing a live stream because there's a lot of competition during this time slot. Just about every vlogger that I know is doing a Sunday live right here from the Philippines. So what is it? Is it Sunday morning in the States, or is it Saturday night in the States? Wait a minute. For us, it's we got different time zones. It's so confusing. That doesn't really matter. I think it's morning somewhere, and it's evening here. So I appreciate it. If you want to come up and spill the beans about the crap that's going on in your life, then I put a link in there, and then you could come on up. I just ask that you not use the kind of verbiage that I use, and that you show your face instead of your avatar. Hey, by the way, did you see the thumbnail? I think I used an avatar for that thumbnail. Anyway, if anybody feels itchy to come on up here and they want to say their piece, well, you're welcome to do so. I doubt if anybody's going to come up here and want to talk. Maybe Bruce. Bruce, it's Sunday morning in Oregon. Yeah, there you go. It's Sunday morning. How's it going, Bruce? Good to see you. Yeah, I'm just testing it out. I'm thinking I want to do a live stream every night just for fun. What kind of fun? I'm not sure yet, but we'll figure it all out as we go along. I didn't really have much to talk about tonight. Nothing really happened today except it did not rain. And so that's 3 days in a row that we've been expecting rain, but we haven't gotten any. Instead, the sun has been shining bright, and I know it's not fair. It's not fair. We're in the middle of Leyte on the West Coast. I don't know what the weather was like on the East Coast. So really the mountain range, the mountains that make this into like a valley separates us, from sometimes it does a good job of stopping the storms from coming in over the mountains. They usually hit Tacloban, and then they'll head over this way. And so, but even though we could see the oceans are a little bit rough, because there's a storm. And by the way, we're not on the Pacific coast side. We're on the other side. What's it called? Bye something or other, right? Some kind of ocean or sea, but I can't remember what they call it. But it's like we kind of on this side have a little bit of protection from the open waters because we're right across from Cebu. And so we have like getting from Bye City to Cebu or Ilongos to Cebu is fairly quick and fairly easy. And we oftentimes don't run into too much rough seas because we've got islands all around us. But it has happened that we've been on the fast ferry where we've been tossed around like a rag doll. And that has prompted me not to take the small fast ferry any longer, but the smallest I'll go would be the ocean jet. But if the seas are really, really rough, then we take the big ferry, the overnight ferry, because of course, it's big, right? And so besides that, these fast ferries, they skim across the water unless, they need to slow it down because of the white caps, the waves, which I've seen them do. But what's the point of the fast ferry, right? If it's not going to go fast, you might as well take the slow ferry. The slow ferry or the overnight ferry is very inexpensive. Well, maybe it's relative. It's pretty relative. But if I take like the Robley ferry and we go over to Cebu, it takes about 6 hours, something like that, and only costs like $10. So the fares are going up. So we're here in Bye City. We came over as soon as we started hearing about these storms. I started looking at my weather map and I go, oh, honey, we got only a couple of hours to get out of here before a storm hits. And so we jumped on like something like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. We wanted to get the first fast ferry on the ocean jet out from Cebu City to Ormoc, and because there was only like a 3 or 4 hour window before the big storm hit, or so it said so on the radar map. So we, of course, I didn't know that the ticket office opens so early in the morning. It does open at 4:30 nowadays, where before I've tried to get to the ticket office. It opened up after the first morning ferry left, because I guess they, anticipated that you would buy your ticket the night before. So I spent a little extra money on these tickets, buying them online, which, end up costing me maybe $20 more to do all that. But when we got there, we just zoomed over to the fast ferry, and it was loading up and taking off right on time. And we got over to Ormoc in about 2 hours, 45 minutes. And then we just grabbed the bus down to Bye Bye City. So the bus terminal in Ormoc is about a 45-minute bus ride. But the thing, it passes right by our house. So it drops it up. It basically, they know us. It's door-to-door service. All the bus drivers know us. So we basically, when they see us coming, they'll just, they traditionally will, as a matter of custom, they'll drop people off where they need to be dropped off. It depends sometimes on what kind of a, if they're being nice that day. Sometimes they just want to speed on the express bus to the terminal, and other times they'll just take their time and they'll just drop you off where you need to go. So this bus, we're in Kendatum, so that means we don't have to go all the way into town, into Bye Bye. We're coming from the right direction. Ormoc City, from east to west or north to south. I guess it would be from north to south. And so it makes such a quick journey and drops us off only a 2.5-minute walk from our house. And usually we have people there meeting us, and they help us with all our luggage and stuff like that. Oh, your wife showed you the pictures of the storm. It was horrible. The whole thing is horrible. I think it's been a couple of years since we've gotten hit like that. I think 3 years, to be exact. 3 years ago, we got hit pretty good. Something like that, where there was intermittent flooding. And I think that's going on right now in Cebu and north. I'm not sure if they've had any breaks in their storms. Maybe Tim Deziak or somebody can show up, and maybe they'll show up and tell us what's going on up there in Manila, hanging with the fellas. But yeah, I wouldn't want to have been up there during this time. But truth be told, we were planning on hanging up there. Either the end of this month or beginning of next month, but it looks like we're going to have to delay it until things dry out a little bit. So that's where we're at on that. And besides, we started not building the house, but we started building for the new house, we started building some rebar supports. And they're very particular on what they want this time. The engineer's report was plan was, pretty detailed. And so I wanted to get the guys started early on making those rebar supports so that we have those ready to go once the plans are approved by the city. So we'll be building a steel frame house pretty much. And this is the first time that I've tried it, and I think it's going to turn out okay. Bruce says, the house is okay, a little bit damaged, but others are not so lucky. I know a lot of people got wiped out, and I don't know, this happens so often in the Philippines. I don't even know how they do damage control here. I'll be honest with you. I know they get out there and they dole out rice and other food that's needed, and also give people a stipend and try to help them out as much as possible. But I mean, how much money could be in the coffers in order to help with damage control here in the Philippines? It happens every 2 to 3 years. They end up getting a serious storm, or a series of them in this case, that just won't let up. And the next thing you know, we're underwater and people's houses are flooding, and it's just nasty. It's just terrible. But here we've been lucky. We've been very, very lucky. But it does bring up another point, and that is that the house that we're building in the lot next door has to come up a couple of feet. And it is not an inexpensive thing to build up your land, your property, with rock, with river rock and crushed gravel. And then you have to take what's the really fine mixture of rock and sand? Really, it's smaller than pebbles, but that's the way we have to do this in order to build this thing up. But I'm looking for alternative suggestions from the engineer that might be forthcoming. It'd help us decide how we're going to do this, both efficient, so it gets us up to the level where we need to be, so that we could avoid flooding episodes, and it also doesn't cost us a fortune, you know. So that's the whole thing. Hello, Simply. Simply Mamita, but there's nothing so simple about being a mamita, is there? Really? I thought that that was a very difficult job. So anyway, that's what we got going on. I talked a little bit about it last night when we did an impromptu live stream. Yeah, it's called In the Toilet with Dan for obvious reasons. Because whatever I say, you just don't take it to heart. You just flush it after the live stream. That's all you do. You just flush it. Because it's useless diatribe and information. Pretty much. And so I thought this sign was appropriate. But like I said, doing a live stream on a Sunday night is a little bit, it's difficult because it's a lousy time slot. But I'm not ready for prime time. So this is where I end up. I'm not ready for prime time. So I got to do it here, and you got everybody right now doing a live, I think. I think when I was firing it up, I saw like a whole bunch of people firing up their computers going live. So anyway, I expected only a half dozen people or so. I got 4 in here, and so that makes me happy. So I'm doing okay. Yeah, so anyway, I was thinking today I could share a thought with you folks that are here, and that is that I started thinking about how useless and how illusionary money is. Of course, I'm always thinking about money from the perspective that it doesn't really have any value or do much good if you're really trying to save it. And there have been a lot of people critical. I know that saving money here in the Philippines, it's difficult to do, because you need every penny that you got in order to put food on the table and a roof over your head. And so I started thinking about this going, hey, why do we have savings? Why isn't it better just to grab all the money and spend it as quickly as you get it? Doesn't it have more value? Bruce, share your thoughts, people. Share your thoughts with me in the chat here. Doesn't it have more value with it, with the economies that were, involved with the Philippines, United States? It has more value if you spend it today as opposed to spending it tomorrow or even 6 months down the road. It actually, you thought I was going to sing. Oh, that's rich. Heck no. Yeah, that is very, very funny. As a matter of fact, let me do a laugh track. I'm not sure. I'm not. Were you guys able to hear my laugh track? I haven't integrated it properly yet into the system. I've got to figure out how to do that. I I was trying to do it before go live, but you could put an online soundboard and integrate it with uh, StreamYard here. But I didn't have enough time to do it. Yeah, but uh, savings pretty much is useless. Even though everybody encourages you to save, and they start talking about save money for a rainy day. Huh? That sounds kind of strange if you're living in the Philippines, doesn't it? Doesn't it? I mean, it's very strange, right? Save money for a rainy day. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. It rains every day here, right? And so there's no time to save money. You're always going to be rolling it. You're just rolling it over, right? I used to have a spending limit. The wife I help, she's really nerdy, but she's got a job. You know something? That's that's great. I'll tell you how my wife and I handled it. This brings up a great point. So of course, Minnie is a dual citizen, and she lived in the U.S. of A. for several years. Right. So she went to work. She went to work the last 5, and she she wishes that she would have done it sooner, but she simply, quite frankly, neither one of us were prepared for this, right? But the way we did it is that I never touched her money, right? I never touched her money. In other words, that was for accomplishing the goals of building the house in the Philippines, saving the money for us to move, and doing whatever else we needed to do. And that worked out so great that by the time we got over here, and I know probably you've heard stories like this before on YouTube. I could think of probably 2 or 3 or 4 channels where the couples did this, where when they came over, surprised, the house was built and it was all paid for, and they didn't have to worry about owing anybody any money. And that's pretty much the way that it worked out for us. So she could save, of course. Then she likes to spend time in the casino, but she usually wins. She doesn't. She has boasted about it a little bit on Facebook, but I would give her the stories about, one day they're going to get their money back. Hasn't happened yet, Bruce. Simply, mamita, don't let your children become gamblers. I usually come up with a limit when I go into the casino. Our favorite one, is at the Waterfront Hotel, Filipino Casino. It's rainy season now, so save it for a rainy day. Yeah, that's what I mean. Doesn't really work. So I'm thinking that we get out there and we build this house, and if we have some money left over, we go build another house, buy some more property, and just keep it going. And so, Bruce, I don't know if you've heard me talk about this before, but I'll always get, when I start talking this way, yeah, also kids, right? You have 4 kids, no savings. Yeah, you know what? Don't worry about it. That's what I have to say about it. Do not worry about it. Spend to your heart's content, but don't borrow money. Don't borrow money. That's the key. Don't become enslaved to the money changer. And that, I'm not talking about biblical stuff or anything like that. I'm talking from experience. You would be amazed the buying power that you would have if you don't do that. Don't go out and be tempted because you want your kids to have all the other things that their friends have. Don't go spending over how much you earn. Don't go into the metro. Don't borrow money, and watch the U.S. economy fall apart. But check this out. Let's talk about the Philippine economy. It really is doing great, but they get pressured to borrow money. They want to encumber the Philippines in debt. Don't do it. The only way they do that is if you go to the bank and borrow money, if you go to some other third-party app and you decide you want to borrow money because you want a new big screen TV set that's going to take up the entire wall of your native house. It never has made sense to me. I'm going to confess. It's never made sense why people do that to me, to themselves, going into the metro. And then the first thing you do is you got that, buy today, pay tomorrow. And then they sign you up. Oh, no, I'm not a fan. I am not a fan. No way. Well, if you have limit, then that's okay. Yeah, true facts. Don't borrow money. Yes, we've learned this. And so Minnie and I, we have zero debt. Zero debt. We don't owe anybody anything. And it is amazing how quickly you can accumulate, money when you don't have debt, when it goes into your pocket. You have so much more flexibility in what you can do with that money. Like we have our Friday giveaway. Every Friday, you come on board and we'll give away, a little bit, not very much, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background, that has to do with our humanitarian fund, and so we give away, that 1,000 pesos every week on Friday on our 6 p.m. live stream, Philippine date and time. No vices here, just happen we prioritize their school, and luckily one is graduating college come September. Congratulations. That is the best gift that you could give to your children is education. But check this out. Simply mamita. You know how everybody always talks about, yeah, now I'm gonna go away. Well, here's what's going on. First, let me talk about what's going on in the United States, education-wise, right? So, uh, the age of your children, right, that they are, if you have one graduating, they'll be somewhere between 20 and 21, maybe 22. And then here's what's going on in the United States in that age group. Once they get out of college, they realize that they cannot get a job. And so the only thing they could think of is to go back to mommy and daddy and say, I want to go get a master's degree so I can increase that the chances that I will be able to make myself more employable. Forget about it. Forget about it. And you don't have to listen or do anything that Dan tells you. That's number one. But it's not working out in the United States. And the reason why it's not working out is because technology is it's creating a rift in the job market right now. And it's only balanced by how do you say your name? Brazis. Brazis. Tell me if I'm close. It's only balanced, simply, Mamita, by the fact that you have guys my age. They call us baby boomers, or the boomers for short. That huge bunch of kids that were born in that 10 to 15 years after the Korean War and the Vietnam War and all that. They used to call us post-war baby boomers. But now, Mertz is here. How you doing, Mertz? So, but now they're calling us boomers, right? It's a lot less derogatory, but boomers means boom. Boom means population explosion. So now we're all leaving the job market really quickly. And the jobs that are left behind that we're vacating are no longer what they call prevailing wage jobs. In other words, they don't pay them the kind of money that they were paying us in order to do the same gig. And so that's how the economy in the United States is turning south, because now they want fast food workers, Jollibee workers. They have a minimum wage. Yeah, in West Covina, there's a Jollibee. I went in there to buy chicken, Chicken Joy meal, a 2-piece, and it was $30, 30 American dollars, 1,500 pesos in West Covina, California. Now, why is that? It's because the minimum wage for fast food workers is now something like $20 per hour. Oh, that's American dollars, 20 American dollars per hour. Oh, my heart. My heart. How much is that? How much is that in Filipino pesos? Let's see, that's 2 times 50, So they're paying them 1,000 pesos per hour on an 8-hour day. 8,000 pesos a day at the Jollibee. Now I know people here they complain. Simply, Mamita, you've heard the story about depressed wages in the Philippines. Well, it is because the youthful population is huge, right? It's a huge population of youthful people. And those youthful people are smart, they're educated. And so they're competing for these jobs, and it keeps, because of the demand and the availability of labor, it keeps wages lower. And so they have to bail and they have to go overseas. But jobs are going to be coming to the Philippines to a military base near you. So, you have Subic Bay, you've got Clark Air Force Base, you're going to have satellite branches, and all of these require support personnel. And we're not talking about the U.S. is coming in and it's going to be like last time. No, it's not really. It's not really, because they have tremendous amount of control over and a different plan, and that is they're going to be shared responsibility. Filipino and American personnel are going to be sharing the facilities. There are more women than men, so right, Manny, so many people, but I love all people so kind. Yes, that's right. Here, what's going on is becoming matriarchal society. The women are starting to take over. Why? The women are starting to become the main breadwinners of the family. And the reason is, as Bruce is pointing out, they tend to go out there and there are more women being educated than there are men, right? And so they get out in the workforce really, really quickly. They go high school, college, bam, to Cebu to go work in the business sector over there, IT Park and all that. And so the men, the construction jobs are starting to disappear. And why is that? It's because they aren't building the houses the same way they were building them even 5 or 10 years ago. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'm building a house, but it's not going to take a crew of 30. That's what this house took in order to build. But the next house only takes a crew of 3, right? 3 people, 3 months, one and done. In other words, and so the labor for construction workers is going to be changing. And it is a threat to all the construction workers, to the day laborers especially. Remember when you poured a concrete pad, you had to do that pour overnight. You had to have 4 or 5 mixers. You had to have a bucket brigade. You had to have wheelbarrows. You had to have a full crew. I mean, it was like you had to be on your game to get that done so that concrete didn't set up overnight and ruin your day. Yeah, women do love to go to school, both here and in the United States. And then they go to work because they're burdened with the responsibility of taking care of their parents. That is the only way to put it. They have a responsibility. It is their parents' retirement plan, because that's the way it works here in the Philippines. It's their retirement plan, and that's the way it should be everywhere, if you ask me. I mean, one of the silliest things that I've thought about is the way that for a period of time in the United States, parents my age would tell their kids, you need to get out of this house when you turn 18. If you're not in college, you got to get out and you got to pull yourself up from the bootstraps. How are you going to do that? There's no work. Where's the family unity that exists like it does here in the Philippines? Does not exist in the United States. But what do people want to do after they get out of school here in the Philippines? I want to go to the West to earn a living. And they won't tell you this, but it's a mistake. A lot of people will tell you it's a mistake. Once you get in that on that hamster wheel, you cannot get off. You cannot get off. And sure, you know how they're surviving. They won't share this with their parents. They're not going to tell you that they're living with 10 of their countrymen in a small 2-bedroom apartment, and everybody has to pick a shift. So they work in shifts. So they sleep at different times, and people are going in and out of the apartment all day, going in there, showering and getting ready for the next job. Some of them are even working 2 jobs. It's almost impossible to get ahead. And so why would you do that when you have this loving cultural environment? Come here to me. Let me give you a hug. I love you so much. It's okay. I understand what is going on here. I just want you to be here. I want to hug you in the morning, every morning. I want you to have a smile on your face, and I want you to be spared of all this responsibility talk. See, that's really what I'm talking about. That needs to happen. That's starting to happen in the United States. It's starting to happen, but not very quickly, because you have old school parents. You have the OGs, and the OGs are telling them, get out of here. You get out. I don't want you living in my basement. That's going to be turned into a bar. And I'm going to have all my friends over every day. And we're going to have a party. And I'm going to have a huge swimming pool on the hill. And I want all this junk. And all this junk doesn't mean anything. It's just a toy. Okay, I like toys, but this is my toy. See? The elephant, the dancing elephant. This is the kind of toy that I play with. See, look, see? Isn't that fun? That's the kind of toy that I play with. I don't need a swimming pool. I don't need all that junk. I don't need, listen, I don't need any of that stuff. None of us do. We just need a nice, caring, loving family. That's all we need, right? So I got on the hamster wheel, and then thank God I was able to get off, right? Come to the Philippines was the only way to do it. But I did have this happen. You know, I'm sorry to have to share this story with you, but I'm gonna, because I think it's important. You know, it broke my heart to tell this story. I had to get away from this person, you know, that was, so I get cornered. I've seen this guy around. He's from America. He's from America. Yeah, home of the brave, land of the free. So, so here's what happens. He comes up to me and he starts talking to me. We're doing shopping, Minnie and I. She went one way in a Save More. I went the other way in a Save More. We're trying to get in there and grab some stuff and get the heck out, right? And so we were in a hurry, but this guy stops me in the grocery store, and he actually starts telling me how much he hates it here. And then he starts talking about all the reasons, right? Blah, 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 blah. It was just like Charlie Brown cartoon. And of course, I was standing there. I was like, do I know you? I don't even know you. Why are you sharing your story of woe? You're going to infect me. Do not infect me. I don't know you. You just think that every expat is going to be thinking the same way that you are. Get the hell away from me. See, I have learned that one thing you have to do, right, is that you got to get these people, the losers in your life, the ones that have the big L on their forehead, get them the hell away from you. They're going to infect you. Because right now, Minnie and I, we are living an amazing life, and life goes by so fast. Mike Married is here. Good evening. How are you, Mike Married? Yeah, you got to get away from these guys so quickly. You know, I said, listen, I would love to hear your story. Not. I'm out of here. I don't even know you. Listen, I'm sorry for your troubles, but I'm living a very healthy, happy life here. I don't know when it's going to be over, but I certainly don't want to be infected and catch some disease from a guy like you. Right? I had to get away from him like fast, really fast. I can't tolerate that sort of stuff. I really can't. And he said some horrible things. He said some horrible things that I cannot repeat here. And I was saddened by it. I went home. I told Minnie what happened. She was over on the other side of Save More shopping. So I said, please, you know, listen, you should have heard this dude who I don't even know. You know, maybe I've seen him once or twice, you know, across the parking lot of the terminal or something, right? And he wants to tell me his whole life story. How miserable he is in the Philippines. how unhappy he is, how he left a good life behind in the USA. Go back. I'm not stopping you. Go back. What I'm stopping you from doing is telling me your story, right? I don't want to hear it. I don't want you to hear all these derogatory things. He said horrible things, you know, really, really horrible, And these days, I'm telling you, ever since I've been here, I have a great life. It's like none other, And so I think that you only discover it. For example, if you're born and raised here, simply Mamita. If you're born, Anime is here. Hi, Anime. Welcome in, welcome in. If you're born and raised here, you won't see it, but you will see it and you will suffer later if you let your children go to the USA. I'm not saying it can't work out. No, no, no. I'm not saying that. But there are other countries that they could go to where they'll make just as good money, where there are clear cultural divides. And those are the places you want them to go. Not California, not LA, baby. You don't want to be corrupted by Hollywood. Because that's where I'm from. That's where I grew up. The Hollywood Walk of Shame. Well, being happy is one thing, Mike. Being happy certainly is one thing. But I can't remember, I probably can count how many happy days I had while living in LA, while I was paying attention anyway, right? Because it's hard to do that when you're working 2 jobs, 7 days a week, and you barely have enough money to pay your rent. And so there, I put a smile on my face for you. It's very difficult to do that when you have all that stuff going on, and you're thinking about the things that you have to accomplish, not only paying your mortgage, your rent, or whatever you have, and your utility bills and all those things, but you're also busting your ass to make sure that your children have everything that they need. And it's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of it's a matter of scale. It's economy of scale that comes into play. For example, you have terrible inflation here, right? Terrible inflation. I got to tell you, I hear that they froze prices on certain vegetables and groceries so that people wouldn't take advantage as they recover from the flooding, from this disaster. And that's what they needed to do. You need to hold down prices to give everybody a chance to catch their breath. That's what needs to be done. They're doing the right thing. And so, but thing is that it's just not about economy of scale. It's about hearing gunshots in the middle of the night. Not just once, several times during the middle of the night, because they're having gang wars in your neighborhood and people are shooting at each other and you're ducking for cover in your small little apartment, your small, tiny little $3,000 per month apartment. How much is that? How much is that, simply Mamita, in Filipino pesos? Right? Why would you do that? Why would you think that that's something that would make a person happy? I could speak only for myself and how I feel, but I'll tell you this, right? I'll tell you that as soon as I was halfway over, from the United States over here to the Philippines, my entire personality, it changed. But don't you think? No, no, no. I think I'm going to borrow the line from you that you're responsible for your own happiness. There, got you, Mike. You're responsible for your own happiness, not somebody else. I'm just telling you why I wasn't happy. I wasn't blaming anybody. It's just the way that it is. It's 2-second brownout. Here I am. Yeah, no. Leadership has to, it doesn't have anything to do with it. Leadership has nothing to do with it. Because you have corruption everywhere, and you're about ready to find out how corrupt both sides of the equation were. You're about ready to find out just how evil it is, no matter what part of the ledger you were sitting on. You're about ready to find out. And it's going to be quite explosive. And so, oh yeah, it's so easy. See, what's amazing to me during this last election cycle? What was amazing to me is how everybody wanted to name call, but not a single person put up facts about this person's done this person's educated, this person's that person's that, and that's the reason why they should have this job, right? That's what I'm talking about. In other words, it makes no difference. You're gonna find evil and corruption all over the world. You're gonna find it everywhere. So you can't escape it. Tell me where we go to escape it. If you have a place to recommend, then I'll take that under consideration. And so, in the meantime, since I have accepted the fact that it does exist, then I would rather live in a place where I can afford to live on the ride home, where I can be worry-free, very happy, very successful, and happy, because that's what we're looking for on the ride home. And so why would a person want to go live in an economy that's dying, when we're over here talking about an economy that's growing? And I know it's imperfect and it has its problems. See? It has its problems. It has its share of problems. But I don't have to get involved in those because I'm a guest. And that's actually how I rationalize it. And so I could completely ignore it because I'm a guest. But in general, no, it has nothing to do with nothing. It has to do with you. It has to do with you and yes, your view of the world. But anyway, I'm more of a centrist. I'm not really, I didn't even know, for example, somebody said to me, I was talking just like this the other day with a friend of mine, and he used a word that I never even heard before. He used the word gaslighting, and I had to look it up. I didn't even know what the hell it was. Oh no, we're being manipulated again. First it was conspiracy theorists, where they wanted to change the definition of conspiracy, and then now it's gaslighting. I thought that was don't fart in the room when you're smoking. That's what I thought it was. Don't fart in a room where you've got the burner going. That's what I actually thought it was. See? So now, we're getting ready to go again. It's a good thing. The lights flickered and then they recovered. So maybe we have a storm coming in right now. Yeah, so I mean, that's what I thought gaslighting was. I had to look it up, find out that it's a manipulation. Now everybody's using that word, and I don't believe they're using it correctly. Are you gaslighting me? Are you gaslighting me? Well, I don't even know what the hell that means, and then I realized that they were gaslighting me. I didn't even know what it meant. See, now, you have travel bloggers, right? I know we're not the typical, Bruce, we're not the typical travel vlogger channel, right? So I want it to be unicorns and butterflies, right? But I know that it's not. See, I know that it's not, but I want it to be. I want it to be unicorns and butterflies. I want to be in La La Land. La, 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 la. Dee, 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 dee. La, da, 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 da. Dee, 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 dee. That's what most people are seeking, aren't they? That's what most people are dreaming about. flowery things, Or I thought, because aren't you just making yourself miserable, going, going the other way? But I know, the whole thing is about that. And I made plenty of good money too when I was there in the States. I mean, I really hustled, I really hustled. See, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Your channel is a good time fun. That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying. Also, I may be trying to gaslight you, get you not to change your perspective, but just see, the world for. There are many, many different views, and I can't be caught up in the bubble, and where I get this tunnel vision. I can't be captured. This is what I do every day. I just play with toys. You guys have seen the worm before. You'll see this in the DIY. I love the worm. This is my favorite toy. See? You put this on the ground. Look at him. He's so cute. Anyway, the whole thing is, yeah, there's you can get caught up in all this stuff, but not me. And the reason is because I'm 68. And so I think age does have a lot to do with it. I'm not going to lie. You wouldn't want me to lie to you, would you? Mike is saying being gaslighted is an old phrase, not new, same as woke. They changed the meaning from the 20s. Being woke was to be aware. That's right. Oh, good point. Actually, you made a very good point there. It's an excellent point. And so, but that's where I'm at with this whole thing, I'm just going around thinking that I could share my experience, and then maybe it'll help somebody out. It'll help somebody else out. No, the guys listen, you have guys that do a really good job of presenting important information on these channels, and I'm talking about American-based Americans that are based here in the Philippines. They do a really good job of presenting information. You don't need me to be doing that. Oh, let's go take a look at this apartment to see how much it is for rent. Stuff like that. People have actually asked me to do that. And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to be doing that, I don't, yeah. Listen, I know, for example, people have said, don't hang around expats. They'll get you into trouble. I haven't found that experience to be true. Maybe it's location, kind of like real estate. Here in Bible City Leyte, we have a great group of guys, and we get along great, and we rarely have any kind of conflict whatsoever, And so it's a very happy, loving group, but we all have the same goal, and that is that get to the end zone with the touchdown pass, get to the end zone, or hit the home run, and that's pretty much what that's all about. So anyway, that's probably all I have to say about that. But so no, being in the West is not, when you travel around, and Mike and Bruce, I know you guys know this, but if you get a chance to travel around, you start learning right away that the rest of the world does not live like they do in the West. They don't. Most of the people live like they do here in the Philippines. And I don't care if you're talking about Europe, the UK, Italy, Spain, they're falling apart. They are falling apart right before our very eyes. By the way, I should confess to you that I loved Russia. The people accepted me and hugged me and cried with me right in the Kremlin, you know? And so no one can come to me and tell me they are evil people because I was there. I know. Nobody can spin it, right? It's easy to spin stuff where you've never had any kind of experience whatsoever. You're just reading crap out of textbooks, you know? But when I was there, they couldn't wait to come up to me and say, "We love you. We don't want to hurt you." I said, I'm a lover. I'm a lover, not a fighter." Right? Yes, I did. I saw Lenin's tomb. Yes, and we went all the way to the top of the cathedral, you know, of the three domes, Saint Peter's Cathedral, which I understand you can't do. And not only that, Yumi, not only that, guess what else? It was the first Fabergé exhibit that they'd had in 50 years in the Kremlin. And we saw that, you know, and we saw that. Bruce, how's it going?
Hey, it's going good. Going
Welcome,
good.
welcome.
So I know last year when I went to meet Judith, you know, and go meet friends, whatever it was. You know, I met some people uh when I got to Taiwan. And literally I was looking when I got off, I was looking uh to you know, to for some coffee at the time. I was asking around. And I had people that were nice. I had people that were really, you know, friendly. People uh, that weren't. But people don't care. Like they don't give a damn what you're doing over here. Literally don't care. I was called by one person there. What that I asked. Real nice dressed lady. Literally, the lady told me I belonged in a pig pen with pigs, and I told her thank you. I said because I said that's where I was going to was a farm, you know. And she gave me the finger.
Oh, that's cruel. That's terrible.
I
Yeah,
don't. But whatever. Who cares? Who cares what she thinks? Doesn't matter.
yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. It doesn't matter. That's right. It doesn't matter. In the big
I'm not
scheme
going
of
to listen
things,
to her.
yeah, it doesn't matter. That's right. I've had so few of those experiences living over here. If I can't even remember one except for that dude, you know, that wanted to follow me around in the grocery store. You know,
Yeah.
except for that dude. I was saying, what? I was just thinking, it bothered me for most of the rest of the day because I was thinking, well, that's the only guy that I've ever met who, I mean, he's terribly unhappy. And for that guy, he should go home, really, because he was practically crying, saying, "I'm miserable here. Things have changed. Blah 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 blah." Yes, change is going to happen. Change happens everywhere. You know, I mean, if you went home after being here, I think he said he's been here for 3 or 4 years. You probably would get home and then you'd want to come right back because you wouldn't be able to adjust all the changes that have happened there. You know,
Oh, that's
especially
true.
where
Yeah.
he's from. You know, for example, look at California. There's so much stuff going on there right now where we're from. I don't think I'd be able to adapt. I just don't think I would be. I could go back to the States. I'm sure of that, but I couldn't live there. I'd have to look for some other place to live. You know, I'm almost sure of it. It's changed so much. I mean,
Yeah. Everything's
so
changing. The times are
everything's
changing.
changing.
It's just what it
It's
is.
not static. You know, it's dynamic. It's not static. Things don't stand still. So
You just don't go over. You just don't go over to a different country and you know like you're good at first, and then all of a sudden years later, like if you're not good, find somewhere that you are because complaining about it isn't gonna solve your problem. You know, if the
right,
house that you're
exactly,
in is not good, or
exactly.
your condo's not good that you're in, get out there and walk around. You'll find one.
Right. You know what's terrifying? That reminds me of something. What's terrifying, California, is the fact that they want to. You know, the current leadership is talking about doing away with property taxes. And right now, I can't see that happening in a place like California, but not right now. But I can see it. I can see it happening in a couple years from now, because I mean it's moving quickly from left to right, politically speaking. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
it's moving quickly over into the other ledger, and so it's all a matter of time. Nothing stays
It's
the same forever, like you said.
no nothing. I mean, yeah, nothing does. You're gonna you either you can either be unhappy. Like, what is the point of being unhappy? Because if you don't like something that one side does or what the other side does, like
Right.
literally property taxes, probably not right now, but if they do in a couple years or 4 years or five, whatever, uh, yeah, I could see that. But again, like I see so many people that are just complain about every single little thing, and it's like I don't have no idea why you're here. I have no idea what you're doing. Like, you've got
Exactly.
to adjust. You had to adjust there. I had to adjust there. Mike and anybody that's foreigner had to adjust there. Okay,
Right.
so
Right.
you have to adjust, and you have to figure out. Like I did. I had to basically watch and learn, uh, see what they do. I did my own routine. I did my same routine just because I wasn't here in this place in Oregon. I did the same
Hmm.
routine, but I did had to change things. Like, you can't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna keep doing this." No, like you have to be in with the times, but you also have to uh, figure out, okay, is this where I want to be, or do I want to be somewhere else? I went through that. And I can admit that I went through that. I did have a little bit of a problem, but I figured it out what I needed.
Hmm.
I think people make life harder than it is. And
Hmm.
listen, I'm nobody. I'm just Bruce. That's it. I'm nobody. I'm just trying to enjoy life. And if we can't do that, I don't I don't like what's going on here, but what am I going to do about it? Like, I
That's
have
pretty much
other
the way that
options.
I feel. Also, you make a good point. That's kind of like the way that I feel. I'm only one vote. I'm one person. I'm one vote, and I'm getting older. And so, would you have me go out there and hold a sign? Would you have me go out there chasing down uh, people to try to convince them of my point of view? I mean, what would you have me do at 68? Yumi Mango is saying something about, I recently closed a condo in Slab City, California. I'm curious about that, Yumi. Is that something that it's a condo for you that you bought, that you purchased? I'm just curious about that. Or you're in the real estate business and you closed one for a customer. Anyways, that's interesting. So,
Slab City.
uh,
Slab City is the freest country in America. That's the only place that's free anymore.
yeah. Here, though, I'm telling you, things are changing, and they're changing. They're changing a little bit quicker than is comfortable, even for a guy like me. You know, and so that's something that, I mean, they're changing. You know, the way they engineer, the way they build bridges, the way they build roads. No, oh, I sold one. Oh, okay, I got you. Oh, I got you. Okay. She said she sold one. Okay.
Cool.
So she made some rubble. How do you say it? Rubble, something like that. Yeah, but anyway, I love it there. I love it in uh, taking a tour of the golden. What do they call it there? The Golden Circle, the ancient
Oh, yeah.
cities. I had such a great time, and the people there are just as loving and caring as any people that I've ever met. And so there you go. When I was a little kid, Bruce, I'll tell you what happened. Right, I was traumatized by this. When I was a little kid, they used to kick us underneath our desk and say, roll your head up underneath your desk, underneath between your legs, and pretty much kiss your ass goodbye, as though that were going to save us from a Russian nuclear attack. And these are kind of conversations that I had with people that were my age in Moscow who told me they went through exactly the same thing. They
Wow.
said they were the same thing. You know, they were telling them they would have air raids. They have to do the drills into the subway system because they were the designated bomb shelters. The whole thing was horrible, you know. And so I'm a little kid, right? I'm a little kid, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. You know, even then I was thinking, how's this going to save me? How is shoving me underneath a desk? The whole point of it was just just to give you something to do. You know, it was just to keep you busy while it rains a bomb down on you. You know, I mean, it's really sick. It's really sick if you think about it.
Oh yeah.
It's sick.
Yeah.
That's what they used to do. And then they'd beat us, you know, if we didn't listen. Then of course back in the day they'd beat us, you know. If you didn't listen to your teacher,
yeah.
you got beat. Yeah. Yeah, you'd run and hide, exactly. Oh, the bomb won't find me here. Right, Yumi? The bomb won't find me here. It was terrible.
Yeah, like coming and going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad
Yep,
I'm glad, Bruce, that things worked out. You were able to make the adjustment and all that. Apparently, this guy, you know, they say that it's the 3-year mark. That's what people keep telling me. And then all of a sudden, you get whatever it is happen to you. You know.
Well, it's either get upset and be upset and mad of trying to figure out change that that you're in, especially in a new place, or you figure it out. Talk to people and get advice because they'll give it to you. Literally, like it's not that they won't.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'll tell you one thing that I did wrong. I took the pesos out that my wife wanted, and I slammed them down like that. And I'll tell you something, I got the 5th degree for doing that.
Oh,
You don't do that ever again. You don't ever, and I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like, please don't do that. That's disrespectful. Oh, I didn't know that, but I did that.
Oh, yeah.
And
I got schooled like that lots of times. I got schooled for doing different things. Yeah. You know what? The one that I finally have beaten this bad habit. She says that you can't refer to somebody as "Hey," like in the States where you say, "Hey, Joe, what do you know?" Right? Something like that. You can't call them like that because that's like calling a dog to come towards you. And so it took me a long time to get out of that habit. You can't say, "Hey, you, come over here," especially if you say, "Hey, you," you know. So if I ever do that, my wife turns and she'll say, "Hey, you," not "Hey, me." She'll remind me, you know, we don't talk to each other that way. And so here, Mike is saying, when I go to the Philippines, I have to change my ideas because I used to compare Canada to the Philippines. It takes me about a week to rewire. But yeah, that's right. I think we all went through that, Mike. I think we all have gone through that. But check this out. Try going to not just Southeast Asia, but go to Europe, go to Russia, go to a couple of what former Eastern Bloc countries, go to Germany, see how they live. You know, go to New Zealand, Australia, and get the flavor of the whole thing. And and then you start realizing, oh my gosh, we're privileged. We're privileged and we're stinking rich in the West. which isn't my fault. It isn't anybody's fault. It's a blessing. You know?
Well,
that's what I mean. Like, hey boy. That's what I mean. Yeah, like Yumi is saying, like, what about hey boy?
It took me 5 years. I had to save it for 5 years. Okay. And literally I had people on YouTube saying, "Oh, you're not gonna go, you're not gonna go." And then I get over there and people are just just dumbfounded, stupid, don't know what to say. They're like, you know. But that's the way it goes. Like, I I just don't give advice like on things because I learned one thing is I don't care what I can't do what Dan's do. His life is different than mine. My life's different than Mike. Okay. Mike can tell me, hey, there's some things, give you a little advice. Dan can give you a little advice. You can take that. But unless you're there and you experience it on the ground, you're never going to figure it out. So I don't care if John Joe Doe says I need to do this. No, I need to go and figure it out. I just need to get there. Now, if there's something that I don't know, I'll ask somebody like Dan. I'll ask somebody like Mike and say, "Hey, is this right?" Because these guys have been there longer than I have. They know a lot more than I do. I don't know jack shit.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody told me that I could know something because I'm well good with the people or a wife or girlfriend, whatever. Okay, I agree with that. But in parts, it's not true because they can. I could know my wife for 10 years. Doesn't mean I know a damn thing about living there.
Oh, right. Exactly. So true. So true. So, yeah, sure is. So, yeah, I feel the same way. Feel exactly the same way about that.
What
So,
about,
but
hey boy?
I,
I mean,
I do. Yeah, she said exactly. So I do feel like, I mean, it is awfully strange, that we have it so great in the West, But isn't it interesting how uh, one of the things that people always talk about is how happy the Filipino people are, how happy, how uh, uh, you know, they always how hospitable they are, how polite they are, how it seems like their main motivation is to make you comfortable. See, are you having a good time? Are you comfortable? Can I get you something? Right? Is there something I could get for you? We
yeah,
don't
they
see
offer
that.
you anything.
Yeah, we
They
don't
offer
see.
you.
Yeah, we don't see that in the West.
Oh, they could learn. They could learn. I've said this, but then I get ridiculed for it, Dan. Oh, why would we want to listen to somebody like you tell me like, well, okay. I'm just saying, and hospitality is a big thing. Respect is a big thing. Family is a big thing. Do we see families? Oh, of course you see families. I'm not. You can't lump everybody.
Right.
Again, go and see it for yourself, and then come back and tell me that I was wrong for telling you that we could learn something from that to be polite to people, to be kind,
Or
to be
when,
friendly.
or how about when people start talking about this? This bugs me the most, I guess. If something does bug me, it's about how people will start, hating on you when you start telling them, oh, we just bought this property over here, and that we're building a new home, and blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden the haters come out and they start, you can't own property in the Philippines. What are you talking about? You know what's going to happen. You're going to end up building that house, and your wife is going to divorce you and take all your money. And I'm thinking to myself, well, she's already got all my money. I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, wait a minute. We have been married. You're right. We're just getting started. We've only been married 20 years. The next year or two, probably, going to be the difference. It's going to mean I better step carefully, or I might end up being kicked out of the house, losing all my money. That really bugs the hell out of me when people do that. Of course, you know, you're going to have one or two stories like that you'll hear per year on YouTube where the person's feelings are so hurt that their relationship didn't work out that they got to share it with the entire world. But yet, and maybe rightly so. Maybe they need to, because after all, they did put their life on blast on YouTube, and that's one of the things, the dangerous parts about sharing what's going on in your personal life right here on YouTube. It's the fact that, oh, something bad could happen. That I've told people, I don't know where you get that stuff from. I don't ever think about it. And if you're thinking about it, what kind of a relationship do you have with your wife or your Filipino girlfriend that you're concerned about that all the time? Maybe you're not right with the right person. I don't know. Maybe you need to take a closer look at that. That's usually what I say, but I tell them I'm an optimist. I'm not the other way. I don't think about those things. Even when somebody comes to me and they say, "Oh, I'm sick. I need this operation. Can you kick me down a couple of pesos?" Usually, I don't go. I may give the money if I decide to, or if I have it. But I'll tell you, I don't go follow up to see, "Hey, you said you were going to use the money for that operation. Did you actually do it?" I, you know what I mean? My Once it leaves my end, I hardly ever think about it.
I mean,
Most Filipinos don't say no. That's right. They don't say
they
no.
don't.
As a matter of fact, Mike's bringing up, he's reminding me of something else, right? Mike is reminding me about how not only do they not say no, but if you went up to them in their own province, you said, "Hey, do you know where the Jollibee is?" And even if they didn't know, they'll give you directions to the Jollibee. Even if they sent you completely the wrong direction, right? They don't
That
want
happens a
to.
lot.
Yeah, yeah, so that intrigues me. I always laugh about it. If it happens, I'm always laughing about it. I usually, after something like that happens, I'll turn to my wife and I say, "Do you think you really knew where it was?" She goes, "No, we better go ask somebody else." She'll say no, but we better go ask somebody else, get a second opinion. So now that's one thing, Bruce, that I've learned to do is for stuff like that. Where's the best price on rebar, and stuff like that? I'll ask three different people that, and the best two out of three, that's where I'll go. I'll take a poll. And now I do directions the same way. "Hey, do you know where the mall is?" And then if I get two out of three pointing me in one direction, that's the direction I'll go. So it's pretty funny, the workaround. So Mike says, yes, you can't. He's right. You can't own the land, but you can own the house if you want to do it that way. If you want to do it that way. But since they can't throw the house on top of me when I go, they can't throw it on top of me in the hole alongside me or on top of me. Well, then I guess it really doesn't matter so long as I got free rent. And there's no divorce in the Philippines. No, but yeah, but all that's a misnomer too, because if you're from, for example, I know this for a fact, if you're American, we lost Bruce. If we're American, you know, and you marry over here or over there in the USA, you can divorce. So you can divorce. You just divorce in the USA. Doesn't matter if you got married here or not. If you're married to a foreigner, you can file a divorce. But I don't know why people think about that. Again, they think about that. What? You're not with the right person, so you have to think about that stuff. I never thought about that. So I know a lot of people that end up getting married here, thinking that once they get into trouble, they're unable to separate or divorce from their wives. But Filipinos, yeah, but they're working. They're eventually they're gonna change the law on that. I don't know how long it'll take, but they most likely will change that law. And of course, modern society, the more modern and the larger the economy, when they start the larger the middle class, even, you might be able to say, then as that continues to grow, because right now there is an emerging middle class in the Philippines. We see it all around us. And in fact, this subdivision here, Candatum, is the emerging middle class in the Philippines. And so as that continues to grow, then you're going to start seeing people clamoring for things like divorce. But real estate isn't the reason. I don't know if Yumi's gone or she's still hanging around. Real estate would not be the reason, though, because real estate just doesn't go up in value that quickly here. Not single family homes or raw land. It goes up in value, but I've yet to see it double from one year to the next. Yeah, and I'm kind of in the same way, Mike. Where do I sign? Here you go. Bye. See you later. We kind of know how it goes. I mean, I definitely would know how it goes because I've been divorced 2 times. By the time I met Minnie, let's see, 10 years. I think I'd been single for like 10 or 12 years, something like that. So, but as they have this middle class emerge, people want a little bit more flexibility to do. They want what the West has, obviously. Then I see it changing. I'll see the law changing, but I hope it doesn't. I'm telling you, I hope it doesn't. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that. I think the way they do it now is just fine here in the Philippines. All right, everybody. Well, it's been fun. It's been real. And we've gone almost an hour and a half. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for being here. And we'll see what happens tomorrow night. I might be here again. Same time, same station. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. We're out.